To sit here and go through this again, and to hear them claim in their defense that I don't have any right to privacy, is disgusting. They have made my wife's life an absolute misery, my lord.
Prince Harry nearly broke down in tears in court today, weeping about Meghan Markle's misery. And he was told to stop arguing back by the judge. Well, he was giving evidence in his privacy claim against the publisher of the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday in the High Court today.
Devastating moment for Prince Harry's reputation and credibility, as he argues with a judge while in the dock, contradicts himself, appears to fib about using the pseudonym Mr. Mischief.
Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they have made his wife's life an absolute misery.
Right before we got on here, we also found out he's on the stand today in London. He's in court. I feel like every time we come on here, Prince Harry's in court. He doesn't look great in the court sketch, I'm going to be honest.
Well, as we all know, Prince Harry is in the UK. He is testifying around this case that he has against the Associated News.
Arrogant and pig-headed Harry started arguing with the judge. This was just part of their exchange.
Everything going on with Harry today, I feel like it's a need to talk about his big boy man tears. He's so emotional, guys. His poor wife, she lives in misery in her $16 million mansion with her 4.4 million followers on Instagram, her Netflix deal, her show on Netflix, all these sorts of things, and she's so miserable.
Prince Harry, you're crying on the stand. In life, we don't always get what we want, right? We want friends, okay? We've all been in that situation. We want a friend, a loved one, a relative to take accountability, to apologize. It doesn't happen, okay? You're expecting a big newspaper conglomerate to come crawling to you to apologize. It's not gonna happen. You can either move on with your life.
Just had a set of very leaky mates who were using him to sell stories to the press and make a bit of cash. Here's what he had to say.
A British royal just clashed with a judge, not once, not twice, but 3 times in one day. His legal team is allegedly jumping ship, and his wife, she's 5,000 miles away, posting on Instagram. This is the story of how Prince Harry's courtroom battle collapsed into a full-blown train wreck right before our eyes. And trust me, it becomes far worse than you imagine. So here's what happened. On January 22nd, 2026, Prince Harry entered London's High Court for what he believed would be his defining moments of justice that day.
I think Harry reveals more than he thinks he did, because he's, of course, trying to pull out the heartstrings about his wife, who, honestly, I feel like the judge should have told him straight to his face, your wife's feelings have no bearing on this trial whatsoever, Harry. This is about Chelsea, Cressida, your former girlfriends, you know? But he has to bring up his wife. I'm sure that's what his lawyer was doing. But I honestly have absolutely zero sympathy for him and his wife in this instance. If they had been quiet and dignified, would I have some more sympathy?
He's suing Associated Newspapers Limited, including the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, for allegedly intercepting his phone and unlawfully collecting information about him between 2001 and 2013. The stakes? We're talking about a $38 million case. Harry's heading a group of 7 high-profile claimants, including Elton John and Elizabeth Hurley.
Prince Harry's court case against Associated Newspapers, that's the publisher behind the Daily Mail, is set to begin Monday, and ABC News understands that Prince Harry will be there on opening day. In a pretrial hearing today, lawyers for both sides stood before the judge discussing witness testimonies and other last-minute amendments to the case. Now, Harry's bringing the case against Associated Newspapers along with 6 others, including Elton John and Liz Hurley. They're arguing that the newspapers hired private investigators who used unlawful means to gather information on them in the late 90s and early 2000s.
This was meant to be his final showdown with the British tabloid press, his shot to make them answer, his moment of vindication. But no one expected what really happened when Harry stepped into the witness stand. Let me take you through this mess, step by step, because you honestly won't believe how ugly it got. Picture it. Harry's in the witness box. The Daily Mail's barrister, Anthony White, begins questioning him. And within minutes, Harry isn't just responding, he's arguing back, debating, getting defensive, and the judge has to step in. Now, this wasn't some tiny correction. The judge, Justice Matthew Nicholin, who, by the way, is a seasoned media law specialist, had to intervene 3 separate times to tell Harry to settle down and stop sparring. The first time, the judge was actually fairly sympathetic. He said, and I quote,
Harry's evidence came forward a day. So Harry originally wasn't meant to be giving evidence until tomorrow. Now, I think it scrambled him a bit. He seemed uneasy from the moment he arrived. He didn't really settle properly in the witness box, and he came in, and Anthony White very cleverly immediately got him onto this thing of being part of the institution lane, and right from the off, Harry was on the defensive and very bristly and very abrasive. And the judge intervened 3 times to try and calm him down. I mean, the first time, which was the one that you showed there, he was actually quite sympathetic and he was quite like, look.
This is a huge moment. You're doing exactly what many litigants do. You keep arguing back about what's being put to you. You don't need to carry the burden of arguing the case today. That's for Mr. Sherborne, that's Harry's lawyer. The judge essentially told him, look, your role is to answer yes or no. Let your legal team handle the arguments. That's literally what you're paying them for. And Harry's response? He just kept doing it anyway. The second time the judge had to step in, you could hear the frustration rising. And by the third time, the judge had to get firm because Harry was arguing over what actually counts as a source in journalism. The judge flatly said, listen, I'm a media lawyer. This is my job. I know what I'm talking about. Calm down. Can you imagine a prince arguing with a high court judge about the judge's own field of expertise inside the judge's own courtroom? Here's why this matters. This isn't a jury trial. There's no jury to impress with a performance. The judge, this single judge Harry argued with 3 times, is the one who decides whether Harry wins or loses. That's it.
This is my job. I understand that this is a big moment for you. But you're making a mistake that a lot of people make. Let me just tell you, your job now is just to answer these questions. Let your legal team answer the case. And Harry seemed to kind of go, okay, my lord, yeah, whatever. Then he carried on, then he did it again. And then he did it a 3rd time, and it was really bad the 3rd time. So
that was the entire ballgame. And Harry couldn't keep his composure for even a single morning session. One legal analyst present in the courtroom said Harry appeared shaken, uneasy, and like he never truly settled into the witness box. The Daily Mail's legal team had pulled a clever move the day before. They cut their opening arguments from a day and a half down to just 90 minutes, which pushed Harry's testimony forward by a full day. He wasn't ready, and it showed. But here's where things turned deeply emotional and genuinely confusing. At one point during his testimony, Harry's voice began to break. He looked close to tears and delivered this direct quote to the court. "They have made my wife's life an absolute misery. I believe it is fundamentally wrong to force all of us to go through this again when all we ever asked for was an apology and some accountability."
Harry is apparently crying on the stand and saying this. This is a direct quote we have from the New York Post. "They've made my wife's life an absolute misery. I think it is fundamentally wrong to have to put all of us through this again when all we were asking for is an apology."
Now, that sounds sympathetic, right? Until you remember one crucial detail. This case is about alleged phone hacking and illegal information gathering that occurred between 2001 and 2013. Harry didn't even meet Meghan until 2016. She has absolutely nothing to do with the 14 articles he's challenging in this case. Nothing. Zero. She wasn't even part of the picture. So why is he bringing her up? Why is he getting emotional about his wife in a case that has absolutely nothing to do with her? And here's the kicker. Where is Meghan during all of this? Harry is alone in that London courtroom. No hand to hold, no visible support in the gallery. She's back in Montecito, California, and according to reports, she was posting on Instagram that same week, showing off their home, their pool, their lifestyle.
Part of him is happy to be there because he misses the British culture and he hates being at the house with Meghan. I think Prince Harry would rather travel to London to sit in a courthouse than be stuck in the asylum with her in Montecito. Okay, I just think that's the truth. And then some other bad news in Harry and Meghan world, their show has been canceled. Season 3 of With Love, Meghan has been canceled by Netflix. They won't be doing any more, which I'm not shocked because nobody was watching it, okay? That show is like number 5,206 on the Netflix charts. So Harry and Meghan, I think they're done. Okay, Harry and Meghan, if I were you guys, your show's been canceled. You're not going to be the next Martha Stewart, Meghan. I mean, the fact that Meghan Markle had a cooking show and she moved pretzels from one bag into another was crazy.
The comment sections absolutely erupted over this. One person wrote, "Why is he even mentioning her? She has nothing to do with the case and the years that these claims were about." Another said, "Meghan is 5,000 miles away posting on social media while Harry falls apart in court. The optics are absolutely awful. They've built their entire brand on being this united couple, us against the world, right? The Sussex team riding or dying together. But when it matters most, when Harry's fighting what he calls his most important legal battle, she's nowhere to be seen. And people noticed. They noticed hard." But here's where this whole thing goes from bad to completely insane. Harry stood in that courtroom and complained about the media commercializing his private life. He said, direct quote, "I've never believed that my life is open season to be commercialized by these people." Let that sink in for a second. This is the same man who wrote a 400-page tell-all memoir called Spare, where he detailed deeply private information about his family. He revealed that his brother William is circumcised. He described private conversations. He shared text messages between his wife and Catherine about bridesmaid dresses. He talked about losing his virginity, drug use, killing people in Afghanistan. Every intimate detail of his life sold to the highest bidder.
When you look at him bringing up Meghan in this moment about what happened in the past, for me, it looks like he is trying to do what happened in the past because of what happened to Meghan in the present. But if it is about what happened to Meghan in the present, then why not bring a lawsuit about what happened to Meghan in the present? You know why he won't do that? Because, first of all, there's not other people that he can come in with this same lawsuit to strengthen his case like he has with the other people that are in on this court case, all these other people. It's just him and his life with this woman. But also, Meghan's life that she lived in the UK was not even affected that way where there would be evidence, where there would be enough justification for a lawsuit. It is all caught up on an emotional high, emotional roller coaster of, having to work with the press, having to then be, part of the press's news gathering, story making arm, and there's no real balance between the two. But at the same time, that's just the life you get. It's a quid pro quo. You get this luxurious life. You're born into privilege, things you never had to work for. But the compromise to all of that is that now you have to put up with things in the press that probably do make your life miserable.
He also did a multi-million-dollar Netflix documentary series where cameras followed him and Meghan around, sharing their private struggles. He sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a primetime special watched by 50 million people worldwide, where they discussed the most private family matters imaginable. And now he's standing in court claiming the media has no right to commercialize his life. One comment that received over 1,200 likes said it perfectly. If Harry wanted privacy, he wouldn't have released Spare. Another person said, "You can't sell your story to the media and then complain about media intrusion. That is sheer hypocrisy." The judge could see it. The lawyers could see it. Everyone watching could see it. Harry wants it both ways. He wants to make millions telling his story, but he wants no one else allowed to tell it. And then there's Chelsea Davy. Remember her? Harry's ex-girlfriend whom he dated for years before they split in 2010. Chelsea has moved on. She's married, she has children, she runs a successful jewelry business. She's lived a quiet, dignified life away from all this drama.
So this is mostly over his time with Chelsea Davy. Not Meghan Markle, Chelsea Davy, the woman who I think honestly probably truly loved Harry for Harry. And I don't think she was all that interested in royalty, the royal trappings, in the money or the fame, anything like that. She is not interested in that. She's proven that over her years since. Meghan Markle, meanwhile, was absolutely attracted not to him, but to what he could give her. So let's keep going. So there was a moment he took the oath, and Harry says, "For the avoidance of doubt, I'm not friends with any of these journalists and never have been. My social circles were not leaky. I want to make that absolutely clear." Oh, Harry. Poor Harry. They were. It's crazy to think they weren't. And it might not be that, let's say, they were consistently leaking, but there might have been some people who are like, yeah, I need an extra 100 pounds and maybe they'll pay me for info.
But Harry dragged her name straight into the courtroom. Multiple articles in his case revolve around her. He spoke about how the press made her life miserable. He even revealed that he called her the night before his testimony to talk about what really happened back then. Can you imagine how Chelsea feels? How her husband feels? She escaped this circus years ago, and now Harry is pulling her back into it for his lawsuit. One comment said, Chelsea should issue him a cease and desist and stop him from using her name to fight his ridiculous court case.
You are going to just keep looking in that rearview mirror and try to get some justice about what happened to you with the ex-girlfriend, and you're married now to another woman with a child, but this is so important that you feel that you need to make a big hoopla out of this. Something does not sit right with me. It doesn't make sense. But let's just look at what happened today, Wednesday, with Harry's court case. He was very emotional as he tells the publisher that when he talks about in his testimony how these publishers of these news articles made Meghan's life a misery.
And you know what makes this even more uncomfortable? The way Harry spoke about Chelsea in court. The emotion, the regret, the unmistakable what could have been energy while his current wife is back in California on Instagram. People picked up on that instantly. The Daily Mail's lawyers also raised something called the Mr. Mischief Facebook account. They allege Harry used this pseudonym to contact journalists, including Charlotte Griffiths from the Mail on Sunday, on social media. Harry denied it, but the lawyers appear to have receipts. And here's another bombshell. One of the journalists Harry's accusing, Katie Nichol, fired back through the lawyers, saying, "No, Harry, you invited me to come party with you at Kensington Roof Gardens in 2011. She's essentially saying they weren't adversaries. They moved in the same social circles, and he was friendly with these journalists.
Keep crying. Keep trying to make this make sense. Because what I say is you married a woman who wants to be in the newspapers. That's also a different video. But do you see how complicated this is for Harry? Do you think he's understanding that his wife is not Chelsea Davy, the one that wanted nothing to do with the press? His wife is the one that continues to put their children on social media. His wife is the one that continues to try to make a name for herself in the media, in news, on social media. And his life is a misery. The misery you are in now is because of the kind of woman you married that is definitely trying to do a dance with the devil and the media. Because don't get it twisted, people. The conflict is really between Meghan and Harry.
This completely shatters Harry's narrative that he was an innocent victim hunted by evil reporters. It suggests he was playing the game, enjoying positive coverage when it suited him, and now trying to rewrite the past. And now we reach the truly serious part, the lawyers. There are reports that key members of Harry's legal team have resigned or are seriously considering walking away from this case. Now, when solicitors abandon a case mid-trial, that's not a small issue. That's a massive red flag. One legal analyst explained it like this: when lawyers walk away in that manner, it's because they believe their client's instructions are unsustainable or the evidence has completely collapsed.